friends, my name is Willow. True crime is my passion and I'm always wondering why. Welcome back, or if you're new here, welcome to my channel, as I'm sure you're just as passionate as I am. Each week I'm here to tell you a story about true crime. I hope to inspire the same sense of wonderment as I get looking into these stories. Disclaimer: the following presentation is for mature audiences. It contains graphic descriptions of crime scenes, adult dialogue, and strong language. Viewer discretion is advised. Now that I have shut off all the Alexises in my house, I can now do this story because they kept turning on. Young, beautiful, ambitious, kind, with a big heart seems to be the perfect recipe to get you murdered in our times. Today we're going to be talking about Alexis Sharkey, a beautiful and intelligent woman who made her way to the top, only to have her life horribly cut short with no possible explanation or hint. Alexis Sharkey was born Alexis Lee Robinant. She was born in the year 1994 and was just a young 26 years old when she went missing and was eventually found murdered. I believe you can agree with me when I say her life ended way too quickly. As you'll learn about Alexis, you'll see she worked hard to get to the top and enjoyed her rather glamorous life. But it seems somebody or some people didn't like it that way, and her life ended abruptly. At the time of her death, she was working as a marketing partner for Monet, a beauty and skincare product line. And Sharkey was pulling in the big bucks. She grew up in northwestern Pennsylvania with her family, which consisted of her parents, Michael and Stacy, and her two younger sisters. Alexis grew up as a very balanced, happy, and smart child. Her family was loving and very tight-knit, which they even remain now. She was a beautiful, intelligent child that grew up to be a stunning, smart woman who was growing in her corporate and financial abilities. Proof to the fact that Alexis wasn't just some face. She graduated at the top of her class with a degree in biology from the University of Pittsburgh. By all evidence, she was a hard worker who didn't give up and knew how to deliver to keep her momentum going. Now that I know in all crime stories, it's easy to paint the victim as some angel who never told a lie and was as saintly as a human could ever be. So in this case, we'll be taking her family's words to understand who she was. Family knows best. According to her family, Alexis Sharkey was loved by everyone. Friends, families, co-workers. She was loved and treasured. They said she had a very intuitive mind, and it never seemed impossible for her to never want to stop learning. She was constantly learning something new, pushing herself each time. It seemed she was addicted to learning, and her analytical mind enjoyed every single last morsel of it. According to her family and friends, again, we're sticking with their words, she was always lost in her thoughts, was a deep thinker who is constantly considering things in her head, a motivated and committed woman who disciplined herself to always give her best no matter what. As such, her parents knew the sky was the limit for their beautiful young daughter, as it was evident she could achieve all she set her mind to. Now, Alexis wasn't just a pretty face and smart human, which I believe I've stated more than once. She had tons of friends, was a member of the National Honor Society, and played sports in high school. The way I see it, Alexis was someone who didn't limit herself and worked hard to see how good she could be at anything. Was it school, business, friendships, being absolutely gorgeous? To me, she nailed it, and she didn't do it averagely. As you'll come to learn, Alexis was someone who was open to change and eager to meet new people wherever she went. This is a charitable and wonderful trait that may or may not have led to her death, because all we can do is speculate, as her murderer has not been apprehended. She graduated from high school in 2012 and went on to the University of Pittsburgh to study biology, nutrition, and psychology. Sounds like a lot of words to say, but the girl was smart. Very smart. By all evidence, she seemed to enjoy her time at the university. She enjoyed learning and found it all to be so interesting and intriguing. Again, all this points to the fact that Alexis was an all-around amazing person. And she enjoyed doing it at the same time. As expected, her love for school made it rather easy for her, and hence she succeeded immensely at her academics and graduated at the top of her class in 2016. Top of her class! A go-getter who didn't do things halfway. Alexis's initial plan was continue on to medical school, but after college she realized she'd been working so hard, pushing herself so much, that she just wanted to take a break and relax. I get that. This woman had lived her life to the fullest and worked her ass off to achieve what she had. I get the point. After working so hard for so long, it must wear you out if you don't take a break to experience life for yourself and just to breathe. Hence, I find Alexis's decision to take a break and travel to be a wonderful one. She wanted to relax and take some time for herself. So what did she do? She moved to Texas. A big, bold move on her part, which was a big step for her and a great opportunity for a fresh start. Specifically, she moved to West Texas, which is definitely different from Pittsburgh. She moved to a town called Odessa and took a job at Twin Peaks, which is in very simple terms, is the Hooters of West Texas. Twin Peaks is a sports bar where the waitresses wear sports bra and things a little more sportier than Hooters. Wink, wink. As you must come to know, when it comes to Alexis Sharkey, it's all about enjoying the things you do, and this was no different. She enjoyed her job there. She considered it to be a very fun job, perfect for her goal to just relax and enable her social and amiable personality. She was able to make friends very naturally, very easily, and as soon as she relocated down to Texas, that's exactly what she did. She surrounded herself with new friends. Those around her testified to her warmth and positive energy being what attracted them to her for friendship. For Alexis, she didn't take friendships as things that just happened and were left to fend for themselves afterwards. She took her friendships very seriously and was a committed and loyal friend. God, I wish I knew this girl. I think we would hit it off and be friends for life. Then came the summer of 2017 in what must have seemed like an absolute dream. Alexis got engaged, and it seemed like wonderful news to add to her new start, but then she broke it off. It's not clear exactly, but we do know the engagement was called off. Alexis's investment in friendship paid off immensely for her in this period, as her friends at Twin Peaks made sure to look out for her, encourage her, and be there for her in such a tough time. Not easy to find friends like that. One of her many friends decided it was time to get her back to the dating market again and away from the sadness of her broken engagement. And that's when her friends did some matchmaking with her and Tom Sharkey. Alexis didn't know at this time, but Tom Sharkey would be part of new chapters of her life from then on. Tom Sharkey was a regular there. He was friendly and made the workers at Twin Peaks laugh when he was around, and Alexis was no exception. Somewhere along the line, it just clicked for them. Alexis found him to be very interesting, and they enjoyed each other's company. Tom works as a consultant in the oil field, which requires him to travel around the world. He has 2 kids from a previous marriage. as he was divorced, a big man over 6 feet tall with the body of a bodybuilder. He was in his mid-40s, and Alexis came to absolutely fall head over heels in love with him. Alexis was in her early 20s at the time. Since Alexis loved to travel, and Tom Sharkey seemed to do that a lot, they bonded over that. Around that time, Alexis decided she wanted a change and didn't want to work at Twin Peaks anymore. So she joined Monet, an MLM company. As I mentioned earlier, it's a company for beauty, hair, and skincare products that uses a multi-level marketing structure where you recruit others to push you higher up the chain. Monet has also 3 class action lawsuits that were filed against them for fraud and deception. So yeah, not so straightforward as all pyramid schemes tend to be, because, well, they're pyramid schemes. Most people refer to these companies as pyramid schemes because the people at the top make the most and it trickles down to the others below. Alexis worked her way to the top and was making quite a bit of money. She also used her social media to her benefit and became sort of an influencer, posting about her life and the freedom working for Monet gave her. There was tons of parties, seminars. They were organized to show you how good working for Monet was. You understand the usual pyramid schemes, always eager to get the recruits to sell off their products. She shared pictures of her glamorous life and financial success on Instagram and gained a ton of following. In the end of the year 2019, Alexis got engaged, and this time it wasn't called off. Alexis Lee Robinette got married to Tom Sharkey in December 2019, and they moved to Colorado in early 2020. And by all means, they seemed to have a whole lot of fun in Colorado. They traveled all over and took pictures documenting their life and adventure, which they shared on their social media. They were living the life, all loved up and superb. Eventually, they decided to move back to Texas, but before they did, they took a 25-day road trip together through New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, and Colorado. From the pictures they shared, it was absolutely wonderful. It seemed things could only be looking up for the young Miss Sharkey. Moving to Texas, she immediately set out to have friends by using Bumble BFF, where she made a set of new friends that she became almost immediately bonded to. They formed a team of some sort. Alexis was 26 at the time and Tom was 49. On the Bumble BFF app, she met Tanya, who was recently divorced and hoping to make a new friends too. Tanya would introduce Alexis to her other friends, and Alexis would introduce them to her friends from Monet. And that's how their team of friends came about. The lockdown came about, and Sharkey took to TikTok and amassed herself quite a following, pulling herself further up the Monet ladder, if you can believe it. Now, early November 2020, she took a trip with her girlfriends to Marfa, Texas, and had so much fun. She didn't go with Tom, just with her friends. Later that month, right after Thanksgiving in November, Alexis's dead body would be found in the woods a short distance away from her home. Now, exactly what happened, I'll list them down and we'll take a look. Dinner party at her friend's house without her husband. Something about going off with a friend who she may or may not have been dating. No one is sure if she came back for her car with her friend or on her own. The car was gone from the friend's place by the time it was morning, and nobody has heard from her since. Eventually, her dead body was found. So who killed Alexis Sharkey? This is one great mystery, but we'll align what we know. So Thanksgiving game, and Alexis spent it at her friend's and at Tanya's house. Now that in itself wasn't strange, but what happened after Thanksgiving dinner certainly was. So Alexis didn't bring her husband, but about midnight she left Tanya's house to hang out at a bar with her friend and did not return till after 3 a.m. That friend was Sebastian, a DJ she had met in Houston on the trip she had taken with her friends to Marfa. There are speculations she may or may not have been dating Sebastian, and her husband may or may not have been aware of it. Either way, one fact remains. Her friends claim her and Tom were on their way to a divorce. Strange fact, nobody claimed to see her after that, except her husband, and they're not even sure she returned. The only sign she did return was the text she sent to Tanya telling her she was coming by to pick up some of the things that she had left at Tanya's house and her car, which she had left the night before. Unfortunately, Tanya was asleep, and we might never know if Alexis Sharkey was even still alive at that point. Now, with all murder cases, things get messed up when we try to ascertain the last known location of the victim. And Alexis Sharkey's death was no exception. Let's recap. She'd gone off with a friend around midnight, gone back to pick up her car at Tanya's, texted the girls the next day about plans to meet up later that night, which was the Friday after Thanksgiving, but that day her husband would start calling around asking for his wife because they had gotten into an argument and he had no idea where she was. So when did she leave the friend? When did she get her car? When did the argument happen? We're not certain what order the events happened, or if certain parts of them even happened at all. Now, Tom, Alexis's husband, had texted one of Alexis's friends, boyfriend, John, to ask about his wife the next day. It was John who called Tom to ask exactly what was happening. It was then Tom Sharkey mentioned that Alexis and he had had an argument and she had left the house. Tom would change his narration multiple times, puzzling everybody. In one narration, he claimed his wife had stormed out of the house, no shoes on. In another version, he said she was wearing running shoes and sweats, and she had climbed over the fence of the house into a black car which was waiting for her. And then he says she might have left on foot, not gotten into any car. In yet another version, he said she left her phone behind, and again he said she had taken her phone along, and he had followed her around in the black car using the location tracking app Find My Friend. Excuse my French, but all these blunders are details I could hardly get wrongly taken for one another. It's either they happened or they didn't, but we don't know why Tom Sharkey kept mixing them up. And I understand he might have been stressed out, but to get things that messed up, pretty sus if you ask me. They just seem too large to ignore. These are quite huge gaps in his stories, changing too many times in too many places. On Saturday, her friends filed a missing person report. Her friends, not her husband. Somewhere along the line, her mother had been told about her daughter's disappearance, and they were taking to social media to share posts asking for any information on her whereabouts. One of the posts by her mother read, "Please share this post. My daughter, Alexis Sharkey, is missing. No one has heard from her for over 24 hours, and the police are involved. She has lived in Houston, Texas since January, and that's where she's last been seen. Please help us find her and bring her home safely. We are so very desperate. Please share." The post also added a description of her Jeep Wrangler Rubicon, although we're not too certain if the car was missing too. Alexis's body was found November 28th, 2020, the Saturday after Thanksgiving, only about 3 or 4 miles from her home. Her body had been found by city workers. The worker who had seen her had told authorities he initially thought she was a mannequin and continued driving, but something just didn't feel right. Hence, he proceeded to call his boss, who checked out the scene and saw her propped up there like a mannequin, completely clean, like she had just had a bath and was naked. Her husband later identified the body of his wife, Alexis Sharkey. After that, it has become a roller coaster of accusations and speculations, both online and offline, about who had murdered Alexis Sharkey. Till now, Alexis Sharkey's murder has not been caught, and her murderer still roams free. All we have are myriads of speculations and accusations. We can only hope this beautiful young woman gets the justice she so deserves. Update! Since I wrote this a few months ago, I wanted to share the case progress with you. Authorities say they've located the body of Tom Sharkey. The U.S. Marshal Service was closing in on him because he was wanted for the murder of Alexis Sharkey. He shot himself in the head as they were closing in to arrest him. He was the only person with the means, the motive, and the opportunity to kill Alexis. Investigators also established a history of domestic violence in the relationship. The couple had separated, but he was not ready for the marriage to end. His constant changes in his stories, the fact that her friends reported her missing, and him leaving Texas and moving to Georgia after his wife's body was found, all of it got to him, and he took the coward's way out on the 6th of October in 2021. Well, he took the trash out, and the taxpayers don't have to worry about it, in my opinion. Well, my fellow wanderers, don't forget to subscribe and smash that like button. I've always wanted to say that, so I can keep making these videos for you. Check out some of my other videos. Stay happy and healthy. Always yours, Willow. Never stop wondering. Ever. XO.